I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd have to call the police on their own family. But then again, I never thought my family would show up at my door with baseball bats either. Let me back up. My name is Sarah, and for most of my life I was the family afterthought. The invisible one. The one who didn't matter. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe. Stories like these need to be heard, and your support helps me share them. I grew up in a house where love was distributed according to value. My older brother Marcus got the attention because he was charming. My younger sister Elena got the coddling because she was the baby. Me. I got the leftovers. The obligations. The expectation that I'd simply understand and not complain. When I was 16, my mother sat me down at the kitchen table. The vinyl was peeling on the chairs, and I remember picking at it while she talked. She needed me to drop out of school and get a job. Not because we were starving, though money was always tight. But because Marcus had gotten into some trouble and they needed bail money. Then lawyer fees. Then money to help him get back on his feet. You understand, don't you, Sarah? She said. Not a question. A statement. I understood. I always understood. So I left school 3 months before graduation. I got a job at a grocery store, stocking shelves from 4 a.m. to noon, then cleaning offices from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. I gave most of my paychecks to my mother. She never said thank you. She just took the cash and told me what else Marcus needed. I told myself it was temporary. That once Marcus was stable, I'd go back and get my GED. Maybe even go to community college. But temporary became permanent. Marcus's problems multiplied. He'd get a job, lose it, get another one, crash his car, need money for this or that. And every time my mother came to me, my father, when he was around, just shrugged. Family helps family, he'd say before disappearing to the bar. Elena, meanwhile, went to college. She got to live in a dorm, join clubs, date boys. She'd come home on breaks and complain about her roommate or her classes, and I'd listen while folding laundry or making dinner. She never asked about my life. I'm not sure she ever wondered if I had one. By the time I was 23, I'd been working those same 2 jobs for 7 years. My body ached constantly. I had a permanent stoop in my shoulders from lifting boxes. My hands were dry and cracked from industrial cleaner. I lived in my childhood bedroom, sleeping in a twin bed with a broken spring that dug into my lower back. I had $3,200 in savings. I'd been hiding it in an old purse in the back of my closet, adding 20s when I could. It was the first money I'd ever kept for myself, and every time I tucked another bill inside, I felt a mix of guilt and defiance. Then one night I came home from my cleaning job to find my mother in my room. The purse was open on my bed. The money was gone. Marcus needs a car, she said when I stood frozen in the doorway. His got repossessed. Something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a quiet, clean break, like a wishbone pulled apart. That was mine, I said. Don't be selfish, my mother replied. You live here rent-free. Rent-free. As if I hadn't been paying their bills for 7 years. As if my life wasn't rent. That night I started looking for a way out. I found a room for rent on Craigslist. $350 a month, shared bathroom, no kitchen access except a mini fridge. It was in a bad part of town, but it had a door that locked. I took it. When I told my mother I was moving out, she went silent. Then she said, after everything we've done for you. I moved out the next day with garbage bags full of clothes and a mattress I bought used for $40. My father didn't help me carry anything down. Marcus wasn't there. Lena called me dramatic. The room was tiny and smelled like mildew, but it was mine. I cried myself to sleep that first night, not from sadness, but from something I couldn't name. Relief maybe. Or grief. For the first time in my adult life, my paychecks were my own. I kept working both jobs, but now the money went into a real bank account. I started taking online GED classes at the library. I ate ramen and canned soup and didn't care. My family didn't call. Not to check on me, not to apologize, not to ask how I was surviving. The silence should have hurt, but instead it felt like air. I got my GED 8 months later. Then I enrolled in community college part-time. I studied accounting because it was practical and because I was good with numbers. I'd always been good at making scarce resources stretch, at balancing impossible equations. At 27, I got an entry-level job at a small accounting firm. It wasn't glamorous. I was still barely scraping by, but I wasn't breaking my back anymore. I had health insurance. I had a future that extended beyond the next crisis. At 31, I got promoted to junior accountant. My salary jumped to $42,000 a year. Felt like winning the lottery. I moved into a real apartment. 1 bedroom, 750 square feet, but it had a kitchen and a bathroom that was mine alone. I bought a couch from IKEA and a coffee maker and hung curtains. I stood in the middle of the living room and cried because I'd made it somewhere I never thought I'd reach. My family still didn't call. At 34, I met Robert. He was a carpenter, quiet and kind, with laugh lines around his eyes. He didn't come from money either. He understood what it meant to build something from nothing. We got married at the courthouse with 2 friends as witnesses. We had dinner at a diner afterward, and it was the happiest day of my life. We were careful with money. We both knew what it was like to have nothing, and we never wanted to go back there. We saved. We planned. We talked about buying a house someday, having kids maybe, building the kind of stable life neither of us had grown up with. Then Robert got sick. It started with fatigue. Then pain. Then a diagnosis that felt like a trap door opening beneath us. Colon cancer stage 3. The next 2 years were a blur of hospitals, treatments, bills, and terror. Robert fought hard. He never complained, even when the chemo made him so sick he couldn't stand. I worked and took care of him and held him when he cried in the middle of the night. We went through our savings. Then we went into debt. Medical bills piled up despite insurance. I took on extra hours. We sold Robert's truck, his tools, anything we could spare. He died on a Tuesday morning in October holding my hand. His last words were, "I'm sorry." As if any of it was his fault. I was 37 years old, a widow with $90,000 in medical debt and a grief so heavy I didn't know how I was still breathing. But I did keep breathing. Because that's what I'd always done. I survived. I worked. I made payment arrangements with the hospital. I sold our furniture piece by piece and moved into a studio apartment. I ate cereal for dinner and walked everywhere to save on gas. I cried myself to sleep most nights, but in the morning I got up. And I kept one thing. One single thing from the life Robert and I had tried to build. Before he got sick, we'd been saving for a down payment on a house. We'd gotten so close. We had $35,000 saved. After he died, that money went to final medical bills and funeral costs. But Robert had a small life insurance policy through his work. After everything was settled, after every bill was paid, there was $18,000 left. I should have used it to pay down more debt. But I couldn't. That money felt sacred. It was the last piece of the dream we'd had together. So I held on to it. And I kept working. I took a second job doing bookkeeping for small businesses on weekends. I stopped going out, stopped doing anything that cost money. I lived like I was still in that mildew room from a decade ago. Took me 4 years. 4 years of 70-hour work weeks, of spreadsheets and sacrifice, of falling asleep over my laptop and waking up with keyboard marks on my face. But when I was 41 years old, I bought a house. It wasn't much. A tiny 2-bedroom bungalow in a working-class neighborhood on the far edge of town. The roof needed work. The kitchen was from the 1970s. The yard was mostly weeds. But it was structurally sound and it was mine. I used Robert's life insurance money as part of the down payment, along with every penny I'd managed to save. My mortgage was $680 a month, less than I'd been paying in rent. I could afford it comfortably on my salary alone. I stood in the empty living room the day I got the keys and I felt Robert there with me. This was the dream we'd worked for. And even though he wasn't there to see it, I'd finished it. For both of us. I furnished the house slowly from thrift stores and garage sales. I patched and painted and learned to fix things from YouTube videos. I planted tomatoes in the backyard. I adopted a cat from the shelter, a scraggly orange thing named Pumpkin. For the first time since Robert died, I felt something like peace. I'd been living there for 8 months when my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but I answered anyway. "Hello. Sarah." A woman's voice. Familiar but distant. "Yes. It's Elena." I sat down slowly on my second-hand couch. I hadn't spoken to my sister in over a decade. Hadn't spoken to any of them. "How did you get my number?" I asked. "I have my ways." She laughed, that same light laugh I remembered. Like everything was easy. "Look, I know it's been a while, but I really need to talk to you. Can we meet for coffee?" Every instinct I had said no. But there was a part of me, some small, stubborn part, that still wanted to believe family could be different. That maybe she was reaching out to apologize. To reconnect. "Hey," I said. We met at a Starbucks near her place. She'd put on weight, but she was still pretty, still polished. She hugged me like no time had passed. I know this is heavy, but if you're finding this story meaningful, please take a moment to like and comment. Your engagement helps these real stories reach others who need to hear them. "You look good," she said as we sat down with our drinks. "Thanks. So do you." There was an awkward pause. Then she smiled. "So, I heard you bought a house. That's amazing, Sarah." "Really?" The hair on the back of my neck stood up. "How did you hear that?" "Mom told me. She's been keeping tabs on you. She's really proud, you know." Proud. The word felt like a slap. "What do you want, Elena?" Her smile faltered. "Can't I just want to see my sister?" I waited. She sighed, stirring her latte. "Hey, look. I'm just going to be straight with you. We need help." "We." "The family. Marcus is in trouble. Real trouble this time. I felt that old familiar weight settling on my shoulders. What kind of trouble? He invested in this business thing. A franchise opportunity. He was supposed to make a lot of money, but it turned out to be a scam or something. Now he owes people. Like serious people. How much? $850,000. I stared at her. Dollars. These aren't people you can just ignore, Sarah. They're threatening him. They've threatened mom and dad too. We need to pay them off. And you want money from me. We know you have the house. It's worth like $200,000, right? Maybe more. You could take out a home equity line of credit. Or sell it. You'd still have money left over after. No. Elena blinked. What? No. I'm not selling my house. I'm not taking out a loan. I'm not giving you money. Sarah, this is serious. These people aren't joking around. Then Marcus should go to the police. He can't. It's complicated. Look, I know you're still mad about stuff from when we were kids, but that was a long time ago. This is about life and death. Life and death, I repeated. Where was the family when I was working 2 jobs at 16? Where were you when I was sleeping in a room that smelled like mildew? Where were any of you when my husband was dying and I was drowning in medical debt? Elena's face hardened. So this is revenge. You're going to let Marcus get hurt because you're bitter. I'm not letting anything happen to Marcus. His choices aren't my responsibility. He's your brother. No, I said quietly. He's a stranger who shares my DNA. You all are. I stood up. Elena grabbed my wrist. Mom's going to call you, she said. You should answer. I pulled my hand away and left. My mother called that night. Then my father. Then Marcus himself, crying about how scared he was, how he'd made mistakes but he was trying to change. I blocked all their numbers. 2 weeks later, someone started leaving notes on my car. Do the right thing. Family is everything. Don't be selfish. I filed a police report. The notes stopped. Then I got a letter from a lawyer claiming I had some kind of financial obligation to help Marcus because of family interdependence, or some made-up legal theory. I brought it to a real lawyer who confirmed it was nonsense. They're trying to scare you, she said. You don't owe them anything. But the pressure didn't stop. They found my work email. They showed up at my office. Elena brought my mother, who cried in the lobby about how heartless I'd become, how I'd turned my back on the people who raised me. Security had to escort them out. My boss called me into his office afterward. Is everything okay? Family stuff, I said. It's handled. If you need time off. I'm fine. Thank you. I wasn't fine. I was exhausted. I was angry. But I wasn't backing down. The breaking point came on a Saturday in March. I'd been working in the garden planting seeds for the spring. Pumpkin was sunbathing on the porch. It was a beautiful day, warm and clear, and for a moment I'd forgotten about all of it. I was just there in my house in my yard living my life. Then I heard the cars. 2 of them pulling into my driveway fast. Doors slamming. Voices. I stood up, dirt on my knees, and saw them coming across the yard. Marcus. My father. And 2 men I didn't recognize. They were carrying baseball bats. Sarah. Marcus shouted. We need to talk. I ran for the house. I got inside and locked the door, my hands shaking so hard I could barely turn the deadbolt. They pounded on the door. Open up. We just want to talk. I grabbed my phone and called 911. They're breaking in, I told the dispatcher. My family. They have weapons. The pounding got louder. Then I heard glass shatter. The small window next to the door. A hand reached through, fumbling for the lock. I ran to the bedroom and locked that door too. I pushed my dresser in front of it. I could hear them inside now in my house shouting my name. Sarah, don't be stupid. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. The hard way. They were going to force me to sell. They were going to make me sign papers, drain my equity, take everything I'd built. The bedroom door rattled. Someone slammed against it. The dresser shifted. I sat on the floor behind my bed, phone clutched to my chest, and waited for the police. It felt like hours. It was probably 5 minutes. The sirens were the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. The banging stopped. I heard shouting, footsteps running. Then police voices. Come out with your hands up. I moved the dresser. I opened the door. My living room was destroyed. They'd smashed my coffee table. Knocked over my bookshelf. My TV was cracked. There was glass everywhere. 3 police officers were in my house. 2 more had Marcus and my father in handcuffs in the front yard. The 2 men with them were already in a patrol car. Are you hurt? An officer asked me. I shook my head. I couldn't speak. They broke in. I nodded. Do you want to press charges? I looked out the window at my father and Marcus. My father looked old suddenly. Smaller. Marcus was crying, pleading with the officers. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. The trial took 8 months. My father took a plea deal and got probation because of his age and no prior record. Marcus and his 2 friends got 18 months for breaking and entering, assault with a weapon, attempted coercion. My mother sent me a letter. I didn't open it. I threw it away. Elena sent emails. Hundreds of them. Calling me a monster, a traitor, telling me I'd destroyed the family. I blocked her too. The prosecutor asked me during the process if I felt guilty. If I regretted what happened. No, I said. I regret that I ever answered Elena's call. I regret that I spent even a minute considering whether I owed them something. But I don't regret this. What would you say to them if you could? She asked. I thought about it for a long time. That I was never their burden to carry. That they taught me what family isn't supposed to be. And that the best thing they ever did for me was give me a reason to leave. After it was all over, after the sentencing, I went home. I fixed the window. I replaced the TV. I repainted the living room a soft gray blue. I kept living my life. I got a promotion at work. I started volunteering at a literacy program teaching adults to read. I went on dates. Some of them were nice. None of them were Robert, but I was learning that was okay. Robert would always be a part of me, but I was allowed to keep growing around the grief. I celebrated my 43rd birthday with friends I'd made through work. We had dinner and cake, and someone made a toast about resilience, and I felt overwhelmed by the simple fact that I was here. That I'd survived everything and built something real. A few weeks ago I got a letter from Marcus. It was sent from the prison. I almost threw it away without reading it, but something made me open it. It was short. Sir, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't know if I'll ever forgive myself. I've had a lot of time to think in here, and I've realized how much I took from you. How much we all did. You were always the strong one. The one who kept going no matter what. And instead of appreciating that, we used it against you. I'm not asking for anything. I just wanted you to know I see it now. I see what we did. And I'm sorry, Marcus. I read it twice. Then I put it in a drawer and went about my day. I don't know if I'll ever write back. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. The point is, it's my choice. That's what I learned through all of this. That I get to choose. Who I help. Who I let in. What I give and what I keep. For so long I thought family was something you owed. A debt you could never fully pay. I was wrong. Family isn't about blood. It's not about obligation. It's about respect, kindness, and mutual care. And when those things aren't there, you're allowed to walk away. I learned that survival isn't just about enduring. It's about knowing your worth. It's about building boundaries and defending them even when the whole world tells you you're wrong. I learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say no. And I learned that the opposite of family isn't loneliness. It's freedom. I still live in my little house. I still have my job, my cat, my garden. My life isn't exciting or glamorous. But it's mine. Completely mine. Some mornings I sit on my porch with coffee and watch the sunrise, and I think about the girl I used to be. The one who gave everything and got nothing back. The one who thought she deserved the leftovers. I wish I could tell her that she was worth so much more. That all the pain she was enduring wasn't making her stronger, just smaller. But mostly I wish I could tell her that she'd make it out. That there would be a day when she owned a house with a garden and a cat named Pumpkin, and that she'd finally understand what peace felt like. As I did make it. Against every odd, despite every person who tried to take from me, I built a life worth protecting. And when they came to tear it down, I didn't let them. That's not revenge. That's justice. That's survival. Thank you for reading this story to the end. If it touched you, please like and subscribe. Your support means more than you know, and it helps me continue sharing these experiences. If you know someone who's struggled with family boundaries, who's had to choose themselves over obligation, please share this story with them. Sometimes we all need to be reminded that saying no is okay. That we're worth protecting. That survival is its own kind of victory.